Whoa.
And no, they switch things up. They go for the Wyvern. And of course, one of the best heroes versus Doom, very difficult to actually run down heroes, and you actually have a heal. So if you do get out of that danger zone, it's really difficult to actually die to just the Doom. But a hero that Cat you, of course, played in the past and played in different metas, but has seldom picked in this meta.
Yeah. It's been a while. Now,
Mm.
oh, this is starting to get a little dangerous. You got the Wyvern Tidehunter setup, you've got a Templar Assassin for the damage, and if we get maybe late enough into the game, you pick up the Ags, you get the projection, and all of a sudden you're zipping across the map as a TA with some big teamfight initiators on your side. It's something Hokori are going to have to be very sort of wary of here, and well, on their own side, ET, they don't really have the team fight firepower to match up against this. And with 2 picks left, needing a couple of cores, I'm not really sure they're going to be able to get it either. So do they look for durability here? Do they just look for damage? What is the plan going to potentially be?
Well, in thinking of damage, I think they honestly would like a little bit of magic damage from their carry. And of course, versus
Mm,
Tidehunter, the easiest hero to probably call out is simply the Juggernaut. But that's where Infamous have so much physical. It's going to kind of close off a lot of heroes. It's where I think Hikori also would have loved Lumiere's Medusa, but versus that much, of course, there's going to be a Deso, there's the Gush, there's all this physical damage that's going to hit you on your way just to approach. He can't really afford to play a slow carry. At least I don't think he is. And
whoa.
that's a Huskar. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is this Huskar just going to chase around the TA? I guess we'll have to see how the lanes pan out, but that is an early Huskar as well. Of course, there's only one more pick and 2 bans for him to contest with, but at the same time, it feels, at least to me, like almost a blind Huskar, but I guess he's okay laning versus a Tidehunter. He's okay laning versus a TA. I do wonder what matchup Hokori tried to score him, but Huskar's Huskar. And now I'm going to my patch notes and seeing if Huskar got changed.
Yeah, just if there was a Huskar section, I can guarantee you I skimmed right past it. But, well,
Yep,
Hokori?
absolutely not changed.
No
Absolutely
changes.
not changed.
Cool. Well, I mean, situationally, it could still work out for them, but this is a very unorthodox lineup for Hokori in the first game of the new patch, right? They got Doom, they got Huskar, both heroes that only saw action in really the most sort of like niche scenarios, and I don't really know if you would count this as one of those, but at this point, ET, for the Huskar, position-wise, is there any potential that they move this, or where do you think they're going to run it?
Again, I think it's hard to tell just because you could go into either lane and be happy,
Hmm.
but that's also where I think that Analog is the specialist here. I don't know if I've seen Lumiere play all too much Huskar. Analog's definitely known for his Huskar a little bit more. And of course, with last pick, Hokori are, they're allowed to keep us waiting. They should keep us waiting, and that flexibility is something that they're going to leverage coming into their final bands and picks here. I know it should probably be an analog hero, though. I can only imagine that it's going to be his. It's
Hmm.
just a matter of whether or not I honestly think they could even turn Lumiere into the mid laner. His laning skills are certainly up to par if he does have to go up versus Sebes, but we'll have to see because speaking of Sebes, Sebes is also known for playing the mid TA. It's something that they flex between him and Kataro, even though Kataro is also a phenomenal TA player.
Yeah.
All South American TA carries are really good at what they do. In Slark ban, that is so different. And of course,
Hmm.
Hokori, they've got the easy bans. They're simply banning out for their Huskar lane to make
Kaçınılmaz.
sure he can still go
İki
mid
şehrin
if
mi
they need to look for
değiştirin?
Lumiere to pick up a
كيف
bigger
يعني؟
carry. But Slark, interesting.
Now, listen, we've seen some Slark, right, over the past couple of months, ET, and every Slark pick has made me feel less and less sort of confident in the subsequent one. Okay, Infamous will go for the Timbersaw with their final pick, but not only is Slark kind of a risky play, if you picked up Slark and Huskar in the same lineup, that just feels like you're just rolling the dice a little bit too much.
Oh, it's pretty dirty. And of course, it's mainly just to be a, big FU to the Tidehunter, I suppose, at that
Mm-hmm.
point. Just another hero to make his life miserable. And for heroes for Hikori, I thought maybe for a second they were going to look at the TB, a hero that's classically good versus the TA Tidehunter lineup. But now this Timbersaw makes me think they don't want Terrorblade. So Hokori, what are we going to pick here for Lumiere?
Yeah.
And they switch it up at the last second. They go for the Bat Rider. So this just counter picks on top of counter picks. I've never seen a draft where both teams really just gun for each other's lineup as hard as they have here. And they do
Hmm.
the switch up. And of course, Lumiere, he's a capable carry player. He will take it out of the hands of Analog. But this is all just to get Analog his bat. And then they switch it. So now
Yo.
what's happening
That
here?
is
Sevis is mid.
poor mid Rubik. Oh my god. And yeah, Cat will take the position 5 tied, which, you know what? Fair enough, right? You're not going to be nearly as durable. You're not going to have the items because you're a position 5 hero, but the Ravage is going to be there. You just need levels. You don't really need items to press your R key. So an interesting switch up from the infamous side. Switches from really both teams, right? So ET, we said we wanted a new patch. We said we wanted something new, something fresh. We've got it.
Yeah, and we can't be upset already. We've been 10 minutes in. Some things changed, some things didn't, but there's no time like now to not be upset. BKB didn't get changed. Haha. Yeah, everybody still complains about that item, as they should, But no, this is a fun game, a fun draft, and we'll have to see. I definitely think Hikori have gotten quite a few of the counter picks they wanted, and even leaning into the Huskar versus Timbersaw matchup a little bit here, because now they're quite literally going to be laning against each other, unless they go for a lane swap. But that's also where Infamous have to have a degree of grace here, because the one thing they cannot afford is for the Huskar to somehow end up in the same lane as that TA. So there's got to be a lot of early scouting. Probably need to see an early smoke up out of these teams and then immediately get out onto the map. And there's the early smoke, but really, of course, not on the server.
Yep. Yeah. He's gonna need a second to get back in. We did have a discussion between the teams, obviously, prior to the game starting, about the server status here, and that is a bit of a downside for these teams. They are, I believe everyone is, yeah. They are South American in their entirety, but there's a lot of countries in South America, ET, and it's a large geographic region, so everybody's ping is not exactly uniform. So I think we had US East for game 1. We're now on the Peruvian servers here for game 2, but no matter what server you pick, someone on one of the teams is going to be dealing with some ping.
Yeah, even though the funny part is there's some people are dealing with ping, and then I look at the server stats and I see people with 1 ping,
Hmm.
3 ping, 2 ping, and I'm just like, oh, okay, somebody's happy. Somebody's ridiculously happy. And then I suppose at that point you just hope it's your mid laner. That's the guy on 1 ping. But no, it definitely feels good, and it's always a treat to accommodate something that we cannot afford to do, sadly, when it comes to the NA versus SA matchups. The day that an NA team, says that, yeah, can we play on Peru? Well, there's got to be a lot of Peruvian players on that NA team, I think.
Yeah, NA will then be used with air quotes around it at that point, but today is not that day, at least not yet. I think we got some NA squads in it later on, but obviously that is for later. For right now, game 2 getting underway, hopefully in just another moment or two here. We did get the Olacor reconnected, but there we go. Now we get the all clear from the Hokori side. We will get this one underway. So, well, as we usually say, right? It's a bit of a tradition. SA versus SA. Actually, SA versus anybody, really. We do tend to have a 50-50 shot of starting with the pause, but it's a short pause. Everybody's in, and we are good to go. We'll see if this early smoke play from Hokori is a first blood attempt, or if they're just looking for a warding mission, for Analog at least. It is going to be the latter. Quickly across the river, drop the ward down. Do they spot Sladen dropping his? Yes, they do. So that is going to be a free and easy D ward for some extra gold.
It just
Then
works
again,
out, even though they're all scouted.
yeah. I mean, they know it's there. Cool, but it's doing its job, so...
Well, and Analog, yeah, I think they're letting it fester a little bit. They're cooking the ward. He's got a sentry queued up. He'll deward it whenever he wants the gold, because of course, if Gardic wants it, well, he'll get the gold because he bought the sentry. It's that slight change where you cannot funnel maybe as much into your mid laner as you'd want. So he'll save it, you know? What's a ward doing but scouting water runes pre 6 minutes anyway?
Taro's going to take a bit of damage here. He... Okay, uses the meld. That's going to keep him safe. And now, Vitaly's the one who's getting hit up a little bit. Katyu's just trying to bully him with the gush. I don't think anybody's in any actual danger here. It's just a fight for the runes, but it does end up being really a 2-2 split anyway.
Oh, and now we get to see them kind of walk across the map. And at the end of the day, Hokori didn't even want to attempt to try and get the Huskar versus the TA. So we're going to settle into what should still be a slightly advantageous laning phase for Hokori, just because it's going to be pretty difficult for, I think, both side laners to really approach these creep waves.
Some interesting matchups here in our first game of the new patch. Gardic, though, well, I mean, he's still Clockwork. You still know what he's going to do. Trying to get in there with a battery assault, but not really doing the most damage in the world. There is a substantial amount of damage done to Katara up in the top lane, though, as your TA gets pushed back to the tower kind of early here. And, well, I don't know. I mean, okay, Kataro. I think he might have forgotten that he didn't have refraction, because he just walks in and Vitaly right-clicks him twice, and there's your first blood.
Yeah, just kind of got walked down all the way to the tower, and of course, Katyu's there with the gush, but unless they get really both their spells onto a target, these heroes are robust enough that they can just afford to sit there and be annoying, and it's exactly what they're doing. Even now, just really efficient trades between Vitaly and Theliacore. They're not really letting them get the better of themselves right now, even though it's good damage traded in there. Once they actually hit their spells, it's good, but until then, still feels like they're getting what they want out of the lane, and the lane's going to push hard into Vitaly now.
Weird sort of misplay from Katara, just kind of walking back into that one, but yeah, that was your one, right? You kind of give one up for free, but you should still be able to maybe recover and farm over the next couple of minutes. In the meantime, the support's doing some funky stuff here in the jungle. Katyu's just trying to track this down. Realistically speaking, that's probably not a kill he can get, but if the Olikor has to dance around the jungle for the next couple of minutes instead of affecting the lane, sure, the Doom's going to get some extra experience, but at least you don't have any sort of threat of a kill as the Olikor goes to the tier 2 tower, and, yeah. He dies, but he really doesn't give up much.
Yeah, doesn't give much. Would not want to lose Vitaly now, though, because he's bringing goodies, and okay, doesn't go down. Olikor gets the trade. Vitaly greeted out with his first blood money. He did just straight up buy boots, so no regen came in from the Doom. He needs to wait for his next courier to be there, and then they can start to really get aggressive back on the Kataro. But this boots purchase has been a risk. It's certainly a calculated one, but one that Katara's been playing around with.
And I mean, he's got 2 points up in the Scorched Earth, but that doesn't really give you that extra regen like it did back in the day. So he's got some tangos, but still gotta play it safe, right? Every once in a while, Kataro might just get up there for a meld hit, and he's gotta be relatively careful. But with the way that they're playing forward, ET, I mean, I say they need to be careful, but they're not really acting like it. They are being so aggressive right now, and the Olikor may be wishing he was a little less aggressive, as he was pretty far forward, but they're not going to be able to really punish him.
Yeah.
Well, top lane, going relatively well for Hokori. Middle lane, Analog is not really ahead of Sebas, and this is the interesting thing, looking at the Rubik at the 2. Telekinesis, no. Unnecessary. Doesn't want it. Goes for the Supremacy as well as the Fade Bolt for just the nuke damage. As Analog... that would have been a tough one no matter what. He was trying to get in there maybe before the stacks reset, but that's a pretty massive gap to close. It does at least allow him to grab the water runes. But, I don't know. Bit of a cooldown to expend there for not too much gain.
Yeah, and you can already see, even though it's been a relatively boring farm-oriented lane so far, the Rubik certainly has the base damage advantage over Batrider. Of course, Batrider is probably the worst example, but you know, he's making it work, and we'll have to see what Sebas can actually do this game, because steal-wise, Wait, Snapfire is the cream of the crop, but aside from that, and maybe rarely getting Doom in actual team fights, there aren't too many casual spells for Sebas to actually steal this game. There's no OD, there's no Viper, there's no obvious really abilities for you to go for as top lane. Again, the dive happens, and Katyu's unable to make anything kind of go counterplay wise, just too fast. Vitaly's just in and out, windlace boots. He's a very speedy boy.
Yeah, when he pops Scorched Earth and then runs in, your Templar Assassin, I mean, he's got boots too, it's just not really enough, as now Theolacor pushes his teammate in with the cookie. Katyu is still a little bit durable here, but they will find the kill. The question is, can Vitaly get away? No, he cannot. Kitaro finally able to get himself some measure of revenge in this lane, but I don't know. It feels like the damage had already kind of been done with the TA going down again.
Yeah, at least you get the Doom kill, and at least it's a solo kill. So don't have to share the XP at all. Gets you a little bit closer to that level 6. But finally, bottom lane, Lumier's been playing bully, and it's been working out as well. Finally gets a kill onto Slayton. Even though there is a creep pull going on, Oscar's amassing an army right now for him to either farm or pull somewhere, but Lumier's level 6. Really, this is out of desperation. Oscar cannot show his face in the Huskar's lane right now, and Gardic, he's trying to be annoying, but I don't know how annoying you really can be, because with 30 stacks of reactive armor, unless the mid laner's coming over, Oscar should be fine. And Sebas is actually killing the mid laner right now. He stole Napalm and just walked him down.
I had Slayton in there to help with the Arctic burn, as I missed that kill. I was just mesmerized by Gardic following Oscar, so apologies there, but Analog gets punished, and now Lumiere's coming over. This is still a tough kill, but they're going to give it a go. There's going to be the life break, starting things off. They've got the disarm and the knockback, slowing him up. The cog pushback, and takes him some resources, ET, but they find themselves the kill.
Yeah, and well, with the Flag Bearer alive, a lot of these creeps will actually regen up past the point of getting denied, so even though you lost your Timbersaw, he's got, well, effectively 4 waves coming into his tower right now, so a death that, honestly, Oscar doesn't mind.
Yeah, he's just going to be probably farming at this point anyway. In the meantime, Vitaly getting hit up again, but this is the problem. Pre-level 6, it's meld into Gush, and that's really kind of all that they have. So now, that speed build, we saw it get the Doom a kill earlier on. Now it's allowing him to escape from Kitaro's damage. If he gets caught by a trap now, maybe it's a little bit of a different story. But up to this point, he had been just sort of dancing around them. So, not a bad setup there. At the same time, back down bot. We said Oscar was probably going to be okay, and he's just right back to farming. So, this is the good thing for the Infamous side. This Hokori draft does look a little bit funky, and it has caught them off guard once or twice, but all their cores are still farming relatively well.
Ooh. Sebas, he hurts so much with the Napalm. Just even 1 stack plus the Fade Bolt ends up doing so much damage, but they do scout out Sebas walking over, and ends up not being a play, but now a battle for the rune will transpire.
Ooh.
Oh, and he just kills Gardic.
And he gets
up.
the rune. This is bad if you're Analog. Yeah, it's time to just run, but you may not make it all the way out of here. They just need to maintain vision, and Sebas did have to sacrifice his teammate, but he gets the kill. There we go. Grab it. Grab it. There you go. Gets the Tumbler's toy and walks away with 2 kills.
No, just very easy stuff
Up
from
top,
him.
the Doom was applied to the Templar Assassins, so at this point, Kitaro, he may just die. Yeah. Katyu could have denied, but he was going after the Theolacor kill instead, so I don't know. How do you really get? I mean, is getting the kill onto Theolacor worth more than the gold that you could have saved by denying the TA? I don't really know about the math on that one.
Yeah, it's who's to say? Who's to say? But Vitaly, just with the phase boots, has the armor to actually tank through any hits and is able to just kind of own. Not really much you could do if you're the TA in that situation, even though you have all these TA traps set up. But Kitaro says he's had enough, goes to the quadruple stacks he has in his triangle instead.
Meantime, Oscar is going to tick down. He was able to Timber Chain away from the initiation from Lumiere, but max level Burning Spears. You know, the burning is quite effective, and the first death or 2 we were saying, you know, for Oscar, okay, he can probably bounce back. Now it is becoming a little bit more of a concern. His net worth has ticked down to the lowest among the cores.
Yeah, no, it's definitely slightly unfortunate for him, but that's just pure virtue of the lane that he got kind of handed. A lane that, maybe could be fixed still by just getting Sebas in there. And Sebas is still extremely farmed. He's a very high level Rubik. They are killing Cat U top,
Wow.
which is kind of sad. But Sebas has not been able to get active and especially not been able to touch the Huskar's lane at all. And actually, right now, Lumiere with the armlet, they're smoking in a Roche. They're looking for a 10-minute Aegis.
Hmm. That is kind of just a cruel play. Analog with the pre-10-minute boots of travel. Just TP'd onto the creep wave, and there's quite literally nothing that the Tidehunter could have done there. Didn't have Ravage, so just gets himself taken down, and will this work? Because, yeah, the bashes are starting to make it a little bit iffy. But Gardet comes over, drops some cogs, creates a distraction. And as long as Lumiere can keep the aggro off him, he should be fine.
Yep, and there goes Roche. 10 minutes, 39 seconds on the game, your first Aegis, and honestly, it's so quick that by the time 20 minutes rolls around and Kitaro has his Deso and is looking for his own Roche kill, Roche might be up at that stage of the game with how early this has been, but this also means that Lumiere has absolutely no fear of dying in kind of this late early game now. He is just going to be in complete safety as Huskars look to be. The Aegis is always that game changer for this hero.
Got Aegis, he's got Armlet, he just took a tower. He is maybe gonna push for the tier 2 here. The only real resistance is gonna be Sladen. Sladen does have 3 points up in Splinter Blast, so I don't know. You have to show a little bit of respect to that, I suppose. And he is also standing directly on top of a ward, so the Wyvern absolutely knows he's here. But over on the other side of the map, Gardic, he spotted out a couple heroes himself, but there really is not much he can do about this. He's scouting, he's letting his teammates know, hey, there's like 3 dudes in our jungle, but this isn't really a fight they can take.
No, and now, well, with the tier 1s busted open, everybody's just having a good game. All cores are farmed, hovering around 5k net worth. Nobody's really having a bad game, even though top, they did find the lasso. And now Lumiere doesn't want to lose his Aegis just yet, but will. Just nicely timed from Sebas here. He will just kind of walk out of here, though. There's nobody else coming from
In the
Infinite.
south side jungle, they use that as a distraction, I guess. I mean, yeah, they had to sort of sacrifice the Aegis, but Gardic hooked in. Vitali got the Doom down onto Oscar, so now, well, they're free to pursue more kills. Catyu just kind of caught in the river. He's not dead yet. He is certainly making it work for it. Sladen comes in and drops down the ult. Catyu, he's thinking about it. He thought about it, but he won't do it. He is going to hold in reserve, but that means Kitaro is now the frontline hero, and he's taken the kisses right on top of him. Analog, with the flame break, is going to be able to find that kill, and now they want even more. Vitali pushed forward by the cookie. Not enough to get the stun, but he will find the kill. Lumiere, meanwhile, burns Sebas to death. And just like that, the House of Cards kind of comes tumbling down. ET Infamous lose, like, 4 heroes across the map, and might be losing more. Sladen's been spotted. But Oscar is going to try to come back in. No Doom this time to lock him down, but Lumiere doesn't care. Pushes in. Doesn't even have the Aegis anymore, but he doesn't give a damn. He's just going to find the kill. They burn him down. Sladen is, bless his heart, doing literally everything in his power, but it's just, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, at least with Oscar giving away his life like that, you get some of the attention off of the tier 1 mids, so your Rubik and your Winter Wyvern can just go back to nuking out the creep wave and certainly delaying it, but they need to hold on to this tier 1. Without it, Sebas doesn't have a safe place to play with, and then suddenly your Rubik is taking away farm from your TA bottom, and then you are going to immediately start to get crushed by Hokori. But honestly, all of those plays leading up to every hero on the map converging mid just couldn't ask for a worse situation for Infamous. And now, well, they're going to try a smoke up. They've got the curse back up in just a few seconds here. They'd love to lead in with a kill, but
they're
barely whiffing. And Gardic TV's out too. Got away with murder.
Oh, they actually cancel it. Hold on. Telekinesis cancels. Guys, okay. They canceled Gardic's TP, but apparently nobody cared. They're chasing after fights elsewhere on the map. The problem is, they're so split up now, this isn't a fight. This is just a slaughter. An absolute execution as Oscar and Catyu push in alone and get immediately blown up. I mean, at that point, you cancel Gardic's TP. It's either everyone on Gardic or everyone ignores him. Instead, they go for the half and half, and Now it doesn't even matter. If Sebas gets this kill, Gartic really won't care. And they may not even get it.
He's trying to connect with the rest of his team, but oh, he's on the lamb, but I think he's gonna make it
Oh
out.
my god. He's still
Sebas, he needs
running.
to find the angle, and he will if he shows in the creep wave here. He tried to connect with his Doom, but this is ridiculous. And actually, the
Oh boy,
analog's
here
coming
comes the
in.
help, yeah. Analog says,
Oh
okay,
no.
we will actually save you. Come here. And Gardic's the one to get the kill too. Oh. That hurts. Sebas does all that chasing. Not only does he fail to find the kill, but the guy he's trying to track down misses hook, still finds the kill, walks away laughing his ass off, I'm sure, and it's starting to feel like one of those games, ET. Just nothing's going right for Infamous right now.
The only thing they can really hope and play for is that they get some great Ravage connect with Kotaro just being as farmed as he can be, but he's still looking for his Deso. He doesn't have an item time to play around with right now. The other two cores, all they can really do is nuke out these waves, and at the same time, during all of that, also lost their mid tower somewhere along the way. So that aspect that I mentioned about them needing it to kind of extend the laning stage, well, it's gone. Everything's broken, busted open. Analog's now looking, hunting towards bottom, and they will stumble upon Catyu, and that's not the kill they wanted, and it will get interrupted. And Greed!
Oh my god. Analog just gets blown up. Gartic is in there. They do drop the Doom down, but the Winter's Curse is going to be deployed. There are some kisses flying through, however, so the damage is still in, and Kotaro is going to go down. But this is a heavy cost. They're going to lose 2 cores here, as Vitaly will be dropped. Sebas was able to steal the Doom and turn it around, and now the Ola core, yeah, a good attempt, but Telekinesis is going to cancel that, and Kotaro dies. Unfortunate, but you trade him for 4, and I think they could have just taken the Catyu kill and walked away, but they wanted to push for the TA. It does cost them.
Yeah, that was a really bad play. There's no two ways to say it. It really was just 2 heroes. Heroes, mind you, as well, without BKB. Analog's only maybe 700 gold off of it, but somebody must have said that Tide doesn't have Ravage, because that is so shockingly bad of a play that there's no way that that wasn't the idea, because they tried to ignore a Tide Hunter when they're standing on top of him, and it doesn't make sense. It just purely doesn't make sense, but, you know, Hokori can afford a few of those. They still have, you know, 7,000 gold to play around with. Now, the next batch of spells, though, whenever Roche is going to be up for contention, that's when they can't afford that same mistake. Otherwise, the game flips and Kotaro has an Aegis and the workings of a BKB or a Blink Dagger in his back pocket. That's where Hokori can throw away their early game pretty darn fast.
And now is a time where if you're Hokori and you're trying to think who should our next target be, Sebas has to take a step or two up that targeting totem pole here, because he stole Doom in the last fight, and I think he's going to get at least sort of 1 more cast off of it based on the cooldowns here. So, well, that's going to throw a wrench in your next plan, right? I mean, Ravage is going to be back up. There's Doom. There's Winter's Curse. The TA has the Deso for the damage, so they have to be very careful about how they approach this. They do have the Ags up on Lumiere, however, so he now has the taunt on Life Break, and I mean, I don't know, it really isn't a bad target actually for the taunt, right? Every single member of Infamous are gonna want to get their spell off at the right time. Ooh, Gartic. There's another missed hook shot from him. His aim's been a little bit off today.
Yeah, just tough to connect, but they're really just doing this just to maintain this chokehold on the vision around the pit. And of course, in 10 seconds, they'll probably check Roche, see that it's not the earliest timer, and then they'll continue to remain situated here. But that's where, unfortunately for Infamous, right now, they've got the Blink Dagger onto Sladen, and they have to initiate with the Curse, but unless they find 2 heroes close to each other, like Analog and Vitaly are kind of veering, they don't have a great way to start these fights, even though they're looking for an engagement right now. They have hit a nice item timing, and they're fighting for the high ground ward, but Gardic's already up here. They do kill the ward, but oh, nope, sentry replace. Still a fight for it. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Gartic just puts another obs up there with how much they had to stick themselves out for that.
Well, he doesn't have an obs right now. He's only got 1 sentry left, so they're not going to be able to immediately reestablish that vision, and maybe that's something Infamous can work around, because you see them having sort of moved their way over. They're going to go for the fight. That does force out Vitali's BKB. The question now is, can they fall back? And the answer is yes. Vitali is not willing to pull the trigger on the Doom. His teammates, I think, were a little bit too far back to follow that one up, so... They're able to walk away. They force out a BKB charge. Sebas did not get to use a second Doom there, as I think it timed out, and now he's stolen the Scatter Blast, but... Honestly, that still goes well, right? BKB charge used. Tier 1 tower taken. Still in a position around this Roche pit for when the respawn comes through in about 5 seconds. This is where Infamous want to be.
Yep, and, well, as soon as that Roche is online, you would have hoped that Katara would have a BKB to walk into the BKBs from Hokori, but sadly is not in the works just yet. Still another component away, but Roche is not going to wait for him. Of course, Oscar's going to show mid, or he's going to start walking towards that pit now, and they should know what's going on here, but will they afford themselves to let go of this Aegis? Because here it is, it's your 20-minute Roche, it's 10 minutes later, pretty much on the dot. It looks like they're going to decide to either give it up or just go for these kind of pity kills instead. Garrick's certainly dead in the mid lane, but I don't know if they can collapse fast enough now. They've made their choice.
Gardic, he's gonna walk. No, he's not. Sebas steals the hook shot, gets in, fade bolts for the kill, and well, it would have been nice if Gardic got away, but he knew the plan here is run in, die, protect the Roche attempt, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, and the funny thing is now, again, with how fast the Roche timings are, it doesn't even feel that bad, because come 30 minutes when Katara has his BKB, maybe he'll get an Aghanim Scepter immediately right on top of it, so it honestly doesn't even feel like Infamous are too far out of this game just yet. But that's also an aspect, or rather a weakness of the Huskar. Not the best tower push. Great at killing heroes, but fighting for these buildings is not very fun. And it's why I think, at least personally, it feels like Infamous are not really out of it. Because when they actively want to defend their buildings as well, the Fade Bolts, the Splinter Blasts, the Chakrams to throw out, their high ground defense is something else.
And they're eyeballing that middle lane for just a second here. Gardic has to hookshot in. He will be able to do so. They get the Cog pushback. No, they don't. They just go in with the taunt instead. And yeah, that's pretty damn easy. Not a lot, Cat, you can do on that one. Question at this point is, can they get any more? They're pushing their way east, and well, the Flare is doing a little bit of scouting, but I don't think that they have that opening.
Now they get to retreat, get to move away. Not really scared at all. And as long as they dodge out on the cores, then they're pretty satisfied. You're maybe getting slightly less farm on the Rubik. He's definitely been giving a lot of that lane priority to Oscar, which makes sense. I think Oscar is definitely going to end up scaling a little bit harder, but Katara's baiting this incredibly hard right now. He's got a BKB, he's melded on the left. Fortunately, nobody's really cooperating with him right now. Nobody's walking into his little meld trap. A trap that he has to wait for as well, because he doesn't have Blink Dagger. He's going for it now, he's got it queued up, but he has to let somebody else initiate for him, otherwise his play doesn't really work. But the wave clear's there, it's annoying. This game is slowed down just a little bit, even though Gardic's ward and positioning is fantastic.
Is looking, waiting to see if he has some sort of moment here, but the fact that they don't see Kataro is maybe a little bit of cause for concern. He's either waiting to ambush us, or he's farming in the jungle where we can't see, and if you're Hokori, yeah, you don't really want to go charging in when you don't know that location, but Lumiere, well, he's got 2 lives. He's going to go to work, he's going to take the tower, and you mentioned earlier he's not the best pusher. That is still very much the case, but if no one's going to come to stop him, well, anybody can push any tower down. Oh. Well, that time the aim wasn't off from Gardic, he just didn't have the range, and Lumiere, okay, hi, just wanders his way up, gonna get himself taken down. Meanwhile, Vitali, he did drop the Doom, but did Sebas actually steal it? No, he did not. He took the War Stomp instead, so the Kataro is locked down. They're trying to keep him alive. They're also trying to make sure they can get a second kill onto Lumiere, but with the BKB active, he is so hard to lock down. Sladen's ult really didn't end up doing all that much, and now the play's kind of broken. There's going to be Lumiere just pushing back in, has that upgraded inner fire, pushing everyone back, slowing them up, finding the kills. And I think Oscar may just go down here as well. He's going to get stunned up and taken down as Analog finds the triple, and I feel like the discipline kind of wore off there, ET. They were waiting so patiently, and then Lumiere goes up the ramp. You can't afford not to fight it, but the Ravage was really not that great. The Winter's Curse wasn't deployed well. Sebas did not steal Doom. All the dominoes that had to fall after that initial jump just went awry.
Yeah, and really, I think Vitaly 100% carried that fight, even though the Doom feels a little bit awkward, and initially it looks like he's just going to be able to walk it off. Really, he got the beacon out of the TA. The TA then gets caught by his War Stomp on a second initiation, and well, now he's kind of in trouble here. He's getting sorted by Sladen, and does get the follow-up lift. Okay, Vitaly does go down, but honestly, job's done. He did what he needed to do, and he's even going to make him work for it harder. 5 seconds. He's really fast.
He's a very
And
fast
he's out.
boy. Blinks up in one. Sebas blinks in first, actually, but couldn't hit Vitaly. So he'll walk away. That's not the way that that's supposed to go. And now mid, yeah, there's the consequence. It takes you that much time to try and chase that kill. They know there's no backup for the TA here in the middle lane, and they take her down.
You know, and that's a real sad kill that is now just going to lead on to damage onto this mid-tier 1. And Lumiere, he's getting past the scary point in this matchup. Once you have BKB, once you have Blink, once you have Ags, you can still die to TA because, well, she's got the anti-armor. You need an armor item or you need this halberd. But once you have it, well, then the matchup becomes almost unplayable for Kitaro. And that's where we're slowly getting towards, even though the push is still painful. And okay, we found, oh, Sladen and Sebas. Analog's just way too good, and with the BKB popped, there's just no time, nothing for him to do. And then Lumiere kills somebody else, kills Katyu in the base. I mean, the picks are just ever present, and Hokori keep finding them.
10-0-4 now for this Huskar pick, so... Well, Lumiere's looking pretty damn good. Really, the whole team is looking pretty good here. Very few mistakes being made as they break open a 17k lead. Lumiere's now going to hit the tier 3. Meanwhile, down bot, they are hitting up Oscar. They don't have a lasso here, but... well, I don't know. Oscar is pretty durable at this point, but there's just so much DOT on him. He's trying his best. Throws the chakram out and will kill Gardic, which means now Analog really doesn't have enough. Never mind, he does have enough for the kill. Wow. Just kind of turns on the jets there at the end, gets the right clicks in, finds the kill, but now over in the middle lane, there's another fight breaking out. Oscar sacrificed himself down bot to create the distraction as Vitaly will fall, and now Lumiere has to TP home. The Olakor will not make it away. And you know what? That goes pretty damn well. Oscar dies, sure, but you find 3 kills in total, and your tier 3 tower is still standing.
And that's why you give Oscar the lane, because he can create the distraction. He can be that incredibly obnoxious hero. And sure, he dies in no man's land, but he drags so many heroes away, and they catch them on the retreat. And then feels like Infamous have a little bit more time to play around with. And again, the game feels kind of awkward because without an Aegis, we have to now wait for that next Aegis before we see another big poke. And the Lumiere is kind of hunting right now. He needs another friend here, so he's going to go for it early.
That's a lot of damage he takes right off the bat, though, but... Well, Kitaro, he's going to stand his ground. He's going to try to fight, but he quickly realizes, yeah, I don't win this. Well, you learn that lesson the hard way, unfortunately. Lumiere comes out ahead, still beyond godlike, and that's going to be the issue for the TA. You just don't really have the damage right now as Lumiere. He's just going to go in again. He finds Oscar this time. Gets the taunt, gets the disarm, and the knockback. Oscar's taken down. Lumiere is an unstoppable killing machine. And outside of using all your spells on him, I don't really know what they can do, because now Sladen's going to get caught, and this is just a little bit depressing. You need to back off of this if you're Infamous, because no hero can stand in that 1v1.
No, and he's had BKB this entire time. And
Oh,
even though it looks
Sebas.
close, and oh no, they're losing all of their high ground defenders, and now they're losing Katyu too. And it's just, it's a full, they're all dead. It's a full 5-man wipe. Except spread out across, you know, a 45-second window where they just walked down lanes that they thought were safe, but ended up just being picks for them to eventually hit on from Hokori. And this looks like Infamous going out with a whimper.
I mean, what's left in the tank for them here? I mean, you do still have a Winter's Curse once Sladen respawn. Okay. Well, you're not going to have Oscar, that's for sure. Winter's Curse, though, does come through, so Oscar is not dead just yet, but The Winter's Curse actually isn't resulting in a kill. Vitali does not go down. The disarm's going to be applied to Kataro the second he TP's in, and now they've got him doomed up as well, so fight's over. Time for the TA to just get back to the fountain, but Lumiere's not going to let him get there. He's just going to jump in. There's the taunt. There's the kill. There's a buyback on the TA, but at this point, how useful is that going to be? Because they still lost so much in that engagement. They used that Winter's Curse. I guess there's a Ravage out from the Tidehunter, but Katyu has to get in position with only a Force Staff to maneuver.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's going to be enough time. And even though he doesn't have BKB, without any of that pure and physical damage threat, as he blinks in, and he gets reverse life broken, but it doesn't matter. The Tendril, it feels weak. They're getting fountain farmed right now.
Yeah, Sebas is down. There's going to be Katyu dropping. Sladen dead as well, and there's the good game. They'll call it there. Hokori, they look good in Game 1. The patch drops in between. They look even better in Game 2 on the new patch, and well, I don't know. If you could find me a team out there that was ready and anticipating the Doom and the Huskar, I would like to have a word with them, because it feels like Infamous just got completely blindsided by it.
Yeah, and, well, they try out the Rubik. It feels like it's going to be cool. They end up switching everything up to react to this Huskar pick, so that way they don't have to force Oscar to play Tide versus the Huskar, but it still just feels like Hokori just played 24 pick. They immediately counter out the Timbersaw by picking the Batrider. Before that, they counter everything, both side lanes, by picking the Huskar. They just steered the draft in that direction, and Infamous clearly were not ready for that Huskar to come out. They were expecting a much slower, a much easier hero to play, and then I think the role swap at the last second as well just ended up everything working out for them. And then Hokori just take what feels like a very simple victory for them, and a little bit of revenge. Not only back to form here, but they get a very well-needed 2-0 just to keep them ahead in the bracket, to make sure those teams with 5 wins already don't get too far away from them. But, like I said, get some revenge versus a team that took a 2-1 against them just a few days ago.
Yeah, they avenge that loss. They get those 2 points that I don't think it was quite enough to get them into, like, top 3 or higher, but it does keep them in contention, keeps them in that sort of sweet spot where another couple of points could have them sitting pretty in that spot. Meanwhile, if you're Infamous, an unfortunate loss, ET, right? Getting 0-2'd is always a little bit rough, but we did mention coming into the series, they have played the fewest games, or had played the fewest games of any of the teams. So this loss does kind of suck for them, but they have still a bit over half of their schedule left to play through.
Yeah, they got time. They also have time to figure out some things, because these strats, they're not hard. What Hokori did here today is something that they've done many, many times before. I think that's where Infamous, maybe it's time to start stealing some things here. And of course, we tried something funky with Sebas this time around. You tried to move things, you know, can't you Tidehunter, you know. I think simply they got outdrafted, chalk it up to that, go to the next series.
Well, we are going to be moving along to the next series, and we are moving away from the SA teams. It is all North America the rest of the way through for today, beginning with Wildcard taking on 5 Rat Force Staff. So we are going to be moving into that one in just a little bit. We'll see what those teams can do, having a little bit more time to take a look at those patch notes and maybe formulate some new strategies. So we'll be moving into that one in probably just about 10 minutes here. So stick around, and we'll be right back.